Hello and welcome to a very holiday season My ArundelBiz podcast powered by Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation. I'm the very festive Grayson Orfe.
Yes, sir. I'm also equally festive, trying here with my Rudolph. Steve Adams, your co-host, and happy to be introducing you today to Taryn Ouzts. She's the founder of not only her own candle company, Burnt Culture Co., but also Blank Slate, which is an entrepreneurship collective that's passionate about helping small brands start, grow, and thrive. And it's located in the Annapolis Mall. And I've been there many, many times already since they opened back in May, including a cool ribbon cutting in June when I met Taryn's mom and a ton of the different vendors there. So Taryn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate it.
Just to start, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, how you started Burnt Culture Co., and where the name of that first business came from.
Okay. So my name is Taryn. I'm Taryn Ouzts. I am actually a Maryland girl through and through. Born and raised in Maryland, specifically PG County, but I've spent the bulk of my adult life living in Arundel County. Wow. So Burnt Culture Co. is actually not my first business.
Oh, okay.
It's actually my third business.
Okay.
So I actually started off my entrepreneurial journey while I was actually still in high school. So I actually own a tutoring company. So I own a tutoring company. It's called Raising the Standard. And RTS for short.
Of high school?
All of them. So I actually
So you started in like
school.
ninth grade?
So I started tutoring actually as an 8th grader.
Wow.
And my parents really realized that I had a knack for it, and so did my teachers.
I should have known you through school. Jeez.
So,
I would have been way better off.
I actually, you know how like your schools do like peer tutoring and things like that?
Yeah.
And I was always voluntold that I would be doing that. So I was actually an athlete in high school, and a part of what we would do, we would tutor the other athletes who were struggling, so we could all stay eligible to play our respective sports. And so I actually started that company, and my parents actually did whatever they needed to do for me so I could actually make it like a bona fide business.
Wow.
So I've been doing that. Wow, if I give you the years, I'll be telling my age.
That's okay.
But over 15 years, I've actually been doing that. And Burnt Culture Co., actually, the name of that company is just kind of random. It was kind of like an ode to culture. I actually suffer from migraines, absolutely, since I was 10 years old. Love candles. It's just kind of my routine, my regimen. You come in, you take your shoes off, wash your hands, light a candle, figure out what you're making for dinner. I had a neurologist because, you know, when your migraines are that bad, you kind of have to go and have CT scans, all of this stuff regularly. So I ended up getting a new neurologist, and he asked me to start documenting what was going on in my surroundings, when I would feel these migraines coming on. And I absolutely love Bath and Body Works candles. Mahogany teakwood from them is literally my favorite. I did not need a sale to buy them. I would buy them at regular price. That's how much I love them. And when I couldn't light the candles because my doctor started putting 2 and 2 together, he's like, hey, listen, stop burning this candle for a couple of weeks and let's see how that works out. So when I kind of found out that was helping to trigger and or allow my migraines to become more intense, I started doing some research. And I found out that in a lot of mainstream candles, there is a high content of paraffin. And paraffin, once you burn it, it kind of releases toxins into the air. And that which was actually causing some of my migraines, it kind of to exacerbate the symptoms. So I have a skincare company, which is called Scene Naturals. It's named after my grandmother's. So with a natural skincare brand, I do a lot of work with essential oils anyway. So I started mixing essential oils to kind of create stronger blends to put in my diffuser. But it just really wasn't giving me what a candle would give. And I was like, I need a candle. I have to have a candle.
Mood music. You get
home,
you put on mood music.
Exactly. And so I was like, I have to create a candle. Like, I have to figure out how to make this work because I need a candle. And so my candle company actually wasn't a candle company initially. I was just making candles for myself because I needed them at home.
Necessity is the mother of invention. That's the
right. And so one of my friends came over and she was like, "Oh my God, what is that smell?" And I was like, "Oh, just a candle." She's like, "Where did you get it from?" "Oh, I made it." "You did what?" "I made it." She was like, "But how? When? Like, when did you have time to make a candle?" You know,
probably before you couldn't YouTube it. You couldn't YouTube how to make a candle.
Well, I mean, and it's not really hard. It's the science behind candle making.
Right.
Like, you have to pour things at the right temperature, do this, add it at this, you know, all of those different things. And actually, to your point of mute music, my candles are named based upon like the first thing that comes to my mind. So like when I'm smelling it and when I'm like crafting the scent, it's like, what does this remind me of? And that's how it's named. So like all of my candle names are like a ode to, you know, Black culture essentially. Obviously that's what I identify with. So they're kind of like, you know, those things. Like Saturday morning is an ode to like Anita Baker, Gladys Knight, because you know, growing up in the household that I did, you know, just you get up on Saturday morning. If Auntie Anita is on the radio, that means it's time to wake up and clean up. No alarm clock. Auntie Anita was the alarm clock on Saturday mornings with Black mamas. And so it just kind of reminded me of what the clean house smelled like. So cleaning. That part. And so that's just kind of how all of them are named. Awesome. But Burnt Culture was just like, I need a name that's, you know, not really a candle company name per se, but makes sense as a candle company name that can expand. So we actually do more than just candles. So we do, I call it All the Things Spray. It's a luxury multi-purpose spray.
Is that what this is?
No, so this is actually one of the brands from the store. So we can come back to that one. So All the Things, it's a luxury multi-purpose spray. You can use it as a body spray, linen spray, room spray, car spray. It's made of completely natural ingredients that are good for you and the environment. And we do a lot of, we use vessels that you can repackage and repurpose for something else. So like this is actually one of our luxury vessels here. This candle's actually called Rich Auntie. So like usually when I'm done with candles, they kind of become a pencil jar, you know, things like that. People use them to repot small flowers, things like that. So we try to make sure you can get multiple uses out of them. We do luxury body butters, and we do body oils as well. We have smaller candles, we have some wax melts coming and a couple of other things. We had a lot of fun. But, you know, so Burnt Culture was kind of just like, to your point, it was I needed it. And so I created what I needed. Awesome. So that's how we got Burnt Culture. Awesome.
That is cool. So now with going into Blank Slate, what is your, I mean, I can kind of guess what the mission is, but I don't want to guess it. I just, I want you to tell us, like, what was the mission behind it, and especially behind even the format of it?
Equity was the mission behind it. So Essene Naturals, my skincare brand, was in an accelerator program with a larger beauty conglomerate. And it was an amazing experience. Learned a lot of amazing things that you don't necessarily always learn at the beginning of your journey, things that you learn through trial and error. So it was about year 3.5, 4 for my skincare brand when I was in this accelerator program. And at the end of this particular accelerator program, in order to now get your products moved to the next level, you now have to be able to write checks for certain things. So, you know, that disposable income to write that check, you know, to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and here's the money to show that I'm serious about it. As well as then, you know, needing to procure all of the items. So between vessels, labels, packaging, the raw ingredients to make said products for whatever the purchase order total would be, then becomes a lot, because they're not asking for 10 units. They're asking for 1,000, 15, 2,000 units. And then when you have a line, so you have, you know, 5 to 10 products, that's a lot to do as a small business owner. And then the money that's attached to it.
And I'm guessing they weren't you know,
Oh, no,
giving you any working capital.
No,
okay.
so in some
So-
accelerator programs do. It really
Right,
just depends, you know. So
Right.
it's not a slight, you know, to
Right.
that particular accelerator program by any means.
Right.
But I also didn't think my brand was in a place where they would select
Sure.
my brand to go into their store
Sure.
yet, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't mentally prepared for like the sticker shock.
Yeah.
And as a small business owner, it was just like, if I had that much extra capital lying around, I would not have student loans.
Right.
I would have paid all of those off already.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of like start thinking about that, and I'm actually an engineer by trade.
Right.
So I make a pretty decent salary, and for me, it was still a far-fetched dream. You know, so having friends who are small business owners, and you know, it's the single mom who's doing it by herself, trying to make her dreams happen, or because I do a lot of mentoring, you know, it's the college student, you know, still in college or fresh out of college. And, you know, they just started their first job. So they really have an amazing idea, but don't have this extra capital,
Right.
you know, to actually make it as robust as they would like it to. What
Right.
do those people do? How do they get over this hurdle?
And you often hear, not to interrupt you, but you often hear so many early entrepreneurs, you know, that succeed. You don't necessarily hear it until like they've already gotten big, but it started with friends and family being able to give them a lot of money. And if you don't necessarily have that.
And honestly speaking, most people who look like me don't have that,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, so it becomes harder because someone's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you could ask your parents.
Ask your
my
rich
who?
auntie. You don't necessarily have rich
I'm the
aunties.
rich auntie at this point, you know. So
Right.
it's like, you know, so those things don't exist.
Yeah.
And not that they don't exist, but sometimes they can be hard to come
Yeah.
by.
Yeah.
And these companies also don't pay the PO right away, right? So again, to your point, there's the where's the working capital? Where
Yeah.
do we find it? How do we make it happen? And I went to the bank to get a business loan. And I've had multiple businesses that have done well.
Yep.
And, you know, when it came to the end of it, they didn't, I was too high of a risk for what I was trying to do, essentially.
Yep.
And so it becomes, well, the businesses are operating, they're operating in the black, you know, we're good here, we're good there. What's the issue?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I use equity. Like the mission is equity. You know, a lot of people throw equality around all of the time, but
Right.
what most of us really need is actually equity.
Right.
And actually being a former educator, you know, seeing the difference between equality versus equity, like firsthand in a classroom, like really kind of drilled that point home for me.
Right.
So then, like even being a business owner, now you really see it because it's now dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And so like now it's even more tangible where you realize why equity is important.
Right.
So really just the purpose of Blank Slate is to give smaller business owners that opportunity to see their products on shelves.
Right.
You know, have somewhere where they can send people, you know, people don't have to wait for you to ship it. They can come to the store, they can
Yeah.
actually pick it up. You know, they can
Experiential.
physically come into the store, try the product out, smell which one they really want, you know, and
Right.
actually purchase that one. So it's, you know, multifaceted. I know for me, having opportunity to see my products on shelves on those days where being an entrepreneur does not make sense. It's like, okay, well, I can see it, and because I can see it and it's real, it gives me just enough to like, you know, all right, but let's go ahead and tackle today.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it got started.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And obviously, based on your products and based on our various shopping visits to the store, it makes a lot of sense because a lot of your vendors have, you know, very experiential stuff, like to open up the candle, smell it, spray yourself, whatever. So
And the atmosphere too of
Yeah,
Blank Slate.
yeah.
Like when you walk in,
Yeah.
you had the candle burning mistletoe
Under the
Yeah.
under the
we
mistletoe.
had Christmas music going. I think
When
it was
you
very
walk
white.
in, you
Yeah,
walk in there, it was
yeah.
just it was a great feeling, and
Yeah.
it was so wonderful. It was, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off. It was
No, you're
it was
right.
great.
create a vibe. Like
Right,
I
yeah.
want it
There
to
was
be
a
an
shopping vibe.
experience, you know,
Yes.
for everybody. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want you just to, you know, feel like you only have to come in and buy something.
Right.
Like I want
Right.
you to feel like you can stay, we can talk,
Right.
no, we can laugh, we can joke, we can have a good time, you know.
Yeah.
So I wanted to feel like homes because I have to spend a lot of time there.
Right.
You know, so I wanted
Right.
to be comfortable and like really a place that I would want, you know, to actually have to spend my time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create that experience for those
Yeah.
who come to visit. So
Yeah. That's awesome. So how many vendors do you have right now? And you know, are they, can you give us some of the various, you know?
So we have a little bit of everything. Like you can literally come to the store and almost anything that you're kind of looking for, we have it, and or we know a vendor who may have it like on their website.
Okay.
Cool. So physically in store, we have skincare products. So that's literally from face care to body care.
For men and
for both
women.
men and women. Men and women.
Of all backgrounds.
Of all backgrounds. So yes, so a lot of obviously our products are formulated with people of color in mind.
Right.
Only because when you do go to mainstream stores, you know, sometimes finding those things that work for you just don't exist.
Right.
Like, you know, women of color tend to suffer from hyperpigmentation more than most others do. Right. So with that, sometimes we need something a little more specialized to actually help with it. So we do have those items that were crafted with women of color in mind, you know, just to ensure that you can fix your problem issues that you're having too. Same thing for men of color. You know, just people of color hair tends to be coarser and curlier. So especially for men when they grow out beards.
I was about to say, so if I grew a beard, it probably wouldn't be as good looking as Grace.
Well, that's not necessarily true. He has a nice looking beard though. But, you know, so it really depends, you know, so. Just men in general, you know, you're struggling with like ingrowns, things like that. But the curlier your hair is, the likelihood increases for those. So we have like beard care, so you have beard scrubs, you know, butters, balms, oils, cleansers, all of that stuff.
Some of the viewers out there that are watching this are going to get to see that you got some pretty great clothing and hats.
We do.
I love the hats.
We have clothing, we have hats.
Yep.
Most of our clothing in store are literally designed by the vendors who are there. We do have one particular brand in store where her family's originally from Tanzania. So she actually, her aunts are seamstresses and they make clothes. So she sources a lot of her fabrics and or items directly from her family in Tanzania. And she has them. So some of those more ethnic clothing that you saw when you did visit the store, that's actually where they come from. They come from Tanzania.
Grayson put quite a few of those on the credit card.
He actually had on one of their hats. So so we have that. We do have a few ladies who bake. So they have like actual like commercial kitchens where they are baking. One is a mother-daughter team.
Somebody's right in Crofton, right?
Yes, so it's her. The name of Mona Lisa
Bakes.
She's actually in Odenton. She has a brand. Her cookies are amazing. And they're literally like oversized cookies. And she makes them like in the weirdest combinations when you say them out loud. But when you taste it, it's like, this makes perfectly good sense. So we have perfume, cologne that are actually crafted by vendors. So it's not like something they bought to resell. Like they're actually making these fragrances. Makeup, makeup, lip care. Literally, I have foundation in the store with women of color in mind. You know, so we have that. We have home fragrances. We have books. We have a couple of authors in store. So we have children's books, urban fiction, coloring books for adults and children. You know, so we have literally a little bit of everything as far as like what's available to purchase at store. We have planners. We do have a planner vendor. So like she designed her own planner. And they come in like 4 basic colors, and they're like really, really in-depth planners. So it allows you to like really sit with your thoughts and like really write down and like plan, you know, your day out, your week out, your month out, all of those things. So I literally have a little bit of everything in store right now.
That's awesome.
So the thing about it is that, you know, with a place like yours, I think we know what it is to the importance of shopping small, shopping local, also shopping African American. Can you give us, because I don't want people to just automatically think, you know, well, why shop local? Why shop black? Why shop, you know, whatever? Can you give us your viewpoint of why it's important for people, especially this holiday season, to do so?
So it's kind of like that meme that goes around that says, whenever you support a small business, I actually think you posted one because another small business.
Oh yeah, from downtown Small Business Saturday.
You know, so when you're actually purchasing from a small business, there's literally a person, a real tangible person,
it brings a smile,
doing a happy dance. Like we may not physically be doing a happy dance, but in our mind, it's like, okay, this is great. And why it's important is because it literally continues to circulate the dollar in your own community.
Exactly.
So when your small business owners, the numbers at which we're growing is like exponential.
Yeah.
And if you have a large number of them in your community, their businesses need to do well so your community can continue to do well. Because if they can't afford to go out and shop, if they can't afford, to do what they need to do for their families, then you potentially are now going to have additional people, who could potentially need government assistance to help for anything, as a struggling business owner. So like one of the terms we like to use in store is emerging brands, right? I don't necessarily like the term small business, only because when people think it's a small business, they really hear hobby. But
like a side hustle.
Exactly.
But this isn't.
But this is some people. This is their livelihood.
Like you. Hopefully you don't mind me saying that. Like you shared with us that you suddenly, or not suddenly, very recently, went full time into Blank Slate, leaving that former job.
I did.
So
I did.
So the hope would be that a lot of these brands might be able to do that if they want to.
Yes, and for me it was honestly a necessity, right? Working as an engineer, there's no real set time for my schedule. It would go from 40-hour work week, and the following week I may be working 80 hours. So when you're running Blank Slate, which is a type of a business that really kind of needs undivided attention, it became hard to juggle. And in turn, with it being hard to juggle, it's like, am I giving the vendors who are in store, who are trusting me to help them expand the reach of their brand? Am I really giving them the best that I can give? And the honest answer was no. Like when I was really honest with myself, it's like, because I don't have enough time, My job was 1 hour and 20 minutes away. So like that commute, so I'm up at 4 a.m. to get to work, so I can work an 8-hour day to leave there, to get to the store by the time the store opens, to run the store until the mall closes, and then go home and then try to eat a balanced dinner, decide if I'm going to actually be able to get on my Peloton for 30 minutes tonight. Do I give my puppy any attention? Ooh, I have homework to do. I need to go to bed because I need to be up in 3.5 hours. So kind of like all of those things. So I really just had to get to the point where I had to make a hard decision. Because let's be clear, I made really nice money. So, having to make that jump, but I knew it was necessary to continue to help the emerging brands that we have, as well as really give me the opportunity to continue to grow Blank Slate and my personal brands, and, just to ensure that I'm giving that, my undivided attention, so I can do what I set out to do, which was to help other brands grow. So,
That's awesome. Well, speaking of growth, so what's your, 1 year, 5 year hope plan for Blank Slate? Are you hoping, a lot of these brands that start as emerging brands with you, they'll, prove their concept so well that they'll end up opening their own brick and mortar, and you'll just be kind of producing more and more success stories? Or
so short answer, I want to own the block. Is what I actually want to do. Meaning I would love to have the offer. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you will.
I literally want to have, whether it's a strip mall or a town center where we actually get to curate brands who are local, and that's who you're shopping with. Instead, big box stores have their places, but there are so many emerging brands with amazing ideas, amazing products, amazing concepts that don't really get the time, energy, and effort they deserve and limelight they deserve, because it's easy to run to Nordstrom's, it's easier to go to Macy's, it's easier to go to Lord & Taylor, but what about these amazing brands that are out here, like getting it out of the mud, but don't really get the same opportunities? So the goal is to expand on what the current vision of Blank Slate is. The goal is to have multiple locations of Blank Slate. The goal is to help other business owners open their own brick and mortars if they decide to, because brick and mortar is a heavy lift. It's, yes, the store is cute, but there's so much work that goes on the back end that if I could separate the two and literally leave like the admin task to somebody else to do, I would hire somebody to do it like 3 days ago. You know, so the goal is to shore up what we're doing at this location, and then actively start bringing that same idea, you know, to other places and to other pockets to serve, you know, underserved, underrepresented, you know, entrepreneurs. So.
Awesome. So the thing about it is, as somebody who grew up in the area, as somebody who, you know, the importance of shopping local, you know, the importance of like you said, circulating the dollar within your own community. What are some of the areas that, or what are some of the places that you go to in Anne Arundel to kind of relax, let your hair down, because you're busy. You have 75 companies.
Your dad joke here, because I can't resist it. I was going to do it before. You're burning the candle at both ends.
No, like literally. Literally.
Many
ends. The views
ends.
of this podcast are not those of the jokes of Steve. We are now
had to throw it in.
He had to. He was waiting. He's been waiting for that opportunity.
But where do you go to kind of just get away and, you know?
Okay, in Anne Arundel County. So, and I really don't want to say this out loud because I don't want people to start going to my favorite places, but it's okay because I want those favorite places to stay in business. So one of my hands down favorite places to go in Anne Arundel County to get something to eat at a low-key place is Grumps.
Oh, very nice. Wow. And there are two of them, so people got their options. There's Annapolis and Crofton.
So, it's okay. You can tell them there's two of them. That's fine. I just love the ambiance of Grumps. Like, it's so, like, it's down home, right? Like, kind of just feel like you're walking into someone's kitchen and you're just having something to eat. So I really enjoy going to Grumps. It's, like, easy. Their shrimp and grits, I'll get it every single time I go. But they also have you guys ever been to
Grumps? I've been to both multiple times.
You have to go.
I love it.
So they're like, they serve like literally, it's like a quarter of a waffle, but it's like made almost like with cornbread. Oh, wow. And when I tell you it's amazing, it's amazing.
So I go 2023 to podcast.
I go to Grumps, just kind of like when I want to just chill, mellow. Nice. When I want to go somewhere to eat and I know there won't be a lot of people, I go to Grumps. My little brother actually put me on to Grumps. My little brother's a foodie, so he will Google something and figure it out in a minute. Nice. Another place I really like to go. So this is a plug for my bestie. So my best friend owns a nail studio. And her nail studio's in Crofton. It's actually right by the bowling alley. The name of her business was known as Matched Beauty, but she has rebranded, so she is now Co-Cree Studios. But she's in the same location. So 9 times out of 10, I'm like, hey, are you in the studio? I just kind of need to just come and just sit on the couch and like decompress. You know, so I have a key. I don't have to call her, tell her I'm coming. But, you know, sometimes I want to see her. So are you here? But so I actually like really enjoy like going out, hanging over there with her, like her customers. But she is a certified cosmetologist. But right now in her journey, she's specializing in nail care. So she is an absolutely amazing nail artist. She's actually in Barcelona. Ooh. She got there yesterday. So she's leaving me. Like she'll be there till Tuesday though. Wow. But she does a lot of print work and runway work now. So she's been living her best nail tech life for like the last 4 months. That's awesome. So that's actually one of my favorite places to go. So ladies, if you're looking for amazing nail tech, she's your girl. Another place, so I really enjoy Wall Chapel Town Center. There's literally something to do for everybody there. Yes, there's a lot going on. And their movie theater is literally my favorite. Now the one in Annapolis Mall though, they've made some amazing, since they renovated, it's been absolutely amazing. So I actually prefer going to the one in Annapolis Mall when I don't want to be bothered with other people.
Sure. Definitely nice and close after you
it's
close the doors of Blank
yes.
Slate.
And actually, I find myself doing that like once a month.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like my treat to myself. I'll just like go to the movies. Oh, what movie's out? And I'll go. But there are a lot. It's hard. There are so many amazing businesses within the county. Nautilus is actually one of my favorite places to go. My family loves Nautilus, and sometimes it's like, can we go somewhere else? But you know, you get great service. They really treat you like family in there. I walk in and Mr. Tony sees me, and he doesn't even ask how I'm doing. He asks about my parents who now live in Florida. I haven't seen them. How they're doing? How's the weather down? I'm like, you actually remember they're in Florida? Awesome. You know, so they really treat you like family there. So like that's amazing. I'm trying to think, where else do I go?
That's
I
a
go
lot.
a little bit of everywhere.
That's a lot.
You
And
know,
we know it's
I spend
always
a lot of time
Yeah.
out and about when I'm not in the shop.
But
and
you
it's
have
always
to.
stores are
the
always
balance.
changing at the mall too, as we know.
So
that's good.
So a little bit of everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
So speaking of other businesses then, what are, just a couple of your top tips for other, emerging business owners or established ones?
Top tips.
Yeah, you can just give us 2 of them.
I think the first one would be just keep going. Like literally Dory is like singing in my mind half of the day. Just keep swimming, keep swimming. A lot of times it's really, really easy to get caught up in what you see like right now. Especially if it's not going the way that you anticipated for it to go. And then in that you get discouraged. And a lot of times when most of us get discouraged, we stop working. But when you learn to work through the discouragement, through the frustrations, the setback, the disappointments, it makes it when you get to where you're finally going that much sweeter. So that would probably be the biggest thing, is to just keep going. And probably the second thing, knowing when to ask for help. I think so often, and I'm going to put back on the title of a small business owner, you wear so many hats. And in turn, because this is your baby, you're literally like, I don't think I can trust anybody else with my kid right now. And with that, so you're doing marketing, you are customer service, you are the owner, you are the salesperson, you are the shipping department, you are the photographer, you are the person developing packaging and labeling and determining how do we make this product, is this a good product to keep going with, so you do the market research, you're everything. And sometimes in being everything, you don't give something your best effort because you're wearing so many hats. And I'm really not a horoscope girl, but if there was a picture of a Capricorn in the dictionary, it would be me. I am stubborn to a fault. And I also don't like feeling like a burden. So a lot of times I don't ask for help because I don't want to inconvenience someone else for them to have to come help me. But in this season of where I am in my journey, I've learned that asking for help is my saving grace, because it allows me to focus in on those things that I do well. And those things that if I don't do it, the business can't keep going. So it's giving me that opportunity to really focus in on those things that need the polish, that need my undivided attention, so that we can continue to grow and we can continue to scale. So that's probably the second biggest thing, knowing when to ask for help. And don't feel bad because you need the help. And if you can trust people, but make sure you're asking help from people that you can trust. That's the caveat. Just making sure that they're people that you can trust. But don't be afraid to ask for help. Like the last 2 months, I've learned how to ask for help. And it's changed the way that I run my business, because now I'm not as exhausted. Now, I'm still tired, but I'm not completely exhausted. Like there's a vendor right now at the store who's running the store for me right now. So I could actually do this. Because before it would have been like, y'all, it has to be between the hours of 8 and 10 or after the store closes from 8 to 11. I don't know how late y'all can work, but it's freed me up to be able to do these types of things, you know, to bring additional awareness to what we're doing to the store, to the brands.
And I think that's the thing with understanding the need for help is that, you know, that's what we do at economic development. And a lot of people don't really understand that. So they always think it's a catch-22, and it's not. You know, we're literally here because a lot of people, we interact with small businesses, emerging brands from time to time, and we're dealing with them so much that we understand it from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And we know it's your baby, it's everything, but we also know that it's hard to ask for help and it's hard to be in the position of help. So that's why stuff like what we do with the podcast, what we do when we're going out on business visits and things, it's really just to let people know, hey, we're here and we're here to help. We're here to be able to kind of put that jolt and put that our money where our mouth is where it comes to helping out small businesses so that small businesses grow and it creates an option in the community for
the work
for
you all
everyone.
do is invaluable. Like it really, really is. Like Steve pops up at the store all the time. I don't know if he tells you how often he pops up.
I probably won't tell everybody.
But in one of the videos like that, who was this white guy on the couch? I was like, it's Steve.
Just chilling,
But
just checking in.
you know, so it's invaluable. Like it's a nice reminder to know that someone sees what you're doing. And sometimes that's all you need is to know that someone sees it, someone sees the value in what you're doing, and someone's here to support you. You know, and whatever that is. So if no one else has told you guys today, I appreciate the work that you do.
We love visiting too.
So thank you both so much. Like it's definitely like when it's like, oh, the guys are here.
I'm telling you, and as you could see in some of the clips, we have done some shopping there as well. So
we've enjoyed shopping small this holiday season.
So I'm going to enjoy January paying off the credit card bill.
But we do know that
we after pay now.
Exactly.
I was gonna say after talking to you though, we know you've got gift cards coming soon.
We do. We actually have them. The gift cards are there.
You've got a lot to look forward to in 2023 too, because you're going to be doing specific Black History Month marketing plan,
we have
Women's History Month. So could you remind everybody out there where to follow you to keep up to date on all things?
That's a good question. So we can be found at Blank Slate MD on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Blank Slate -MD. If you want to shop the store, it's real easy. It's literally blankslateshop.com. But those are the places where you can find us virtually.
To shop in person, I think the closest quote unquote anchor store you're probably next to is...
We're directly next door to Crate and Barrel. So directly next door to Crate and Barrel.
Annapolis Mall.
Miss Mary will not care if you walk through Crate and Barrel to come visit me. Or you could come through the Container Store. That would be the closest entrance, like an actual entrance outside of using a store entrance.
And for all the parents out there, you're nice and close to the Anne Arundel County Public Library that's in the mall.
Right
so that's
next
very
door
convenient.
to the across from the library. The dance studio. So what is that? Outlet Dance Complex. So they're right there. And then we're right next door to Taekwondo. So if you want to drop your kid off and let them take a class, you know, we're next door. So come take a class with us because we offer classes too. So
That's awesome.
And everybody out there that knows it already, but you can watch this podcast and future podcasts and past podcasts on Facebook and YouTube. And then also be sure to follow us on not only Facebook and YouTube, but Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, AAEDC or ArundelBiz on Instagram. And obviously have a great holiday shopping season and happy holidays whenever and wherever you're celebrating.
Enjoy.
That's a wrap on this one.
Enjoy.
thank you guys.